Stars of cinema and industry insiders have swapped limos for gondolas this week at the 75th Venice Film Festival. The Mostra's red carpet has already welcomed pop stars, auteur filmmakers and Hollywood's finest, with premieres from Damien Chazelle, Jacques Audiard and Luca Guadagnino. For more on the festival, we can now cross to film critic Emma Jones, who's in Venice. Hi Emma, thanks for joining us. We've seen a lot of activism on the fringes of other film festivals to achieve more gender parity at these sorts of events, to get more female filmmakers represented. But it looks like most of the films creating a buzz this week in Venice were made by men.
Yes, you're quite right. As you mentioned just a moment ago, Venice is packed full with famous directors this week, including Jacques Audiard and the Coen brothers and Yorgos Lanthimos, to name but a few. There's only one woman in competition here. That's Jennifer Kent with A Nightingale. Now, is this the Venice Film Festival's fault? I don't think so, because they released figures on the opening day that showed for every 4 male directors submitting a film for competition, there was only one woman. Clearly, there's a problem here at the root. And many women are indeed saying that they are rather tired of discussing this issue of gender. And Jacques Audiard, who's here with his sister's brother, also had something to add to the debate.
Let's stop talking about gender in films. It doesn't make sense. Let's ask ourselves simple things, things we can count. I just make it a matter of equality and justice. Equality is to count, justice is to be applied. It's very simple. Then we'll start to get a little serious, and maybe we'll avoid aberrations like this 20-1. No, please don't applaud. Let's act.
Now, it should be said that Jacques Audiard's film, The Sisters Brothers, being a Western, is very male-heavy in its casting. It's got people like Joaquin Phoenix, John C. Reilly and Jake Gyllenhaal in it. It's a really good film. I liked it very much, and it's gone down very, very well here with critics because it goes into the psychology of really what makes a bad cowboy. I definitely found myself liking this movie more and more as the film went on. So let's see a bit of The Sisters Brothers.
Makes you think. You're not scared to reproduce yourself? You do realize that our father was struck raving mad and we got his foul blood in our veins?
Our father drank, Charlie.
Touche. That was his gift to us. That blood. That's why we're good at what we do.
Well, it's true that's quite male-heavy, The Sisters Brothers, but if women are still underrepresented behind the camera, there are plenty of them on screen who've impressed the critics this year. Were there any standout performances for you, Emma?
Oh my goodness, I have to tell you about The Favourite by Yorgos Lanthimos. It's my favourite film, every pun intended, and it stars Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone. And Olivia Colman gives probably an Oscar-worthy performance as Queen Anne, who's involved in a love triangle with her 2 favourite ladies in waiting. It's had fantastic reviews from the critics. It's a glorious historical romp of a film, even if it doesn't quite have Lanthimos' usual trademarks, those kind of off-kilter way of intoning sentences, for example. It doesn't have that. However, Emma Stone loved her experience of working with Lanthimos, and here's what she had to say about it.
I was, a lot of it was kind of, I didn't really fully understand maybe at the beginning as we were shooting it. I started to understand more just because of the way that Yorgos was shooting, that there would be more silence and more watching and observing than I had previously expected, which was fantastic. If I could do a whole film and never say a word and just get to do that, I would be very happy.
Did you just look at me? Stop it! I am the queen. But you are mad.
You look like a badger.
I've sent for some lobsters. I thought we could race them and then eat them.
Is there cake?
Be gone!
Let's shoot something.
I should have you stripped and whipped.
I'm waiting.
Definitely looking forward to The Favourite there. Now, another creative collaboration that seems to be a theme this year is music and film with a notable pop star.
Yes, indeed. Let's talk about her in a moment. But also we've got Vox Lux here by Brady Corbett, and that stars Natalie Portman. That's an interesting one because it is a portrait of a pop star, and a monstrous pop star as that. A very fine performance from Natalie Portman indeed. Though it's kind of got mixed reviews, and Natalie Portman's been very interesting, saying that she thinks the film industry is a little bit healthier maybe than the music industry, or at least that she prefers it. But yes, the main show, it has to be Lady Gaga. She has stolen the show at Venice here with a red carpet appearance earlier on in the festival, and she is making her film star debut, I suppose, with A Star Is Born, appropriately enough, opposite Bradley Cooper and directed by Bradley Cooper. Again, fairly mixed reviews. Some say that there's nothing new about this film, though they all really seem to rate Lady Gaga's performance, and also the chemistry between Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper is palpable, and she certainly seems to enjoy working with him.
For someone that doesn't necessarily feel safe, that vulnerable all the time, it was such a special experience with him. He made me just feel so free, and at the same time he is so laser focused while he's working and such a visionary. So I got to live my dream. I've always wanted to be an actress, and there can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you, and you just need one to believe in you, and that was him. So I'm very lucky to be here.
Well, what casting? I mean, who better to play a superstar than a pop star? And now, looking ahead to the prize-giving ceremony, what are your thoughts on the Golden Lion or any other awards?
Do you know what? It's so difficult to say this year, Olivia, because it's film after film by great director after great director. And, you know, Venice is known, of course, for being the precursor to the Oscars, but I'm really hard put to pick one. I hope the favourite will win, frankly. But let's talk about the Netflix films in competition here. It's quite a departure. We've got Alfonso Cuarón's Roma, we've got Paul Greengrass's July 22, and we've got the Coen brothers, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. They're all great, they've got really good reviews, and should one of them take a prize, then I think it would be very difficult for the film industry to treat Netflix like a poor cousin anymore, so we're going to have to wait and see. I want to mention one other film actually that's not eligible because it's not in competition, so it can't win the Golden Lion. It's in the Horizonte section, and it's going to be of interest to French audiences, I think. That's Amanda by Michael Urs, and it's starring Stacey Martin and Vincent Lacoste. What's interesting is it deals with the aftermath of a terrorist attack in Paris, but it deals with it in the sense of following survivors of an attack, what happens to those left behind. It's a very gentle, calm movie, despite the brutal subject matter, and I think Michael has been praised very much for the way he's dealt with such a sensitive subject, but I think when that comes out in France, that's going to be of enormous interest to audiences there.
You mentioned Amazon's presence at the festival, among other streaming services. Now, I believe the production and distribution arm of Amazon is involved in another film there, and that's Suspiria, which is actually a remake of the 1970s horror film. Now, you've seen that, I believe. What did you make of it?
Yes, Amazon's here with, I believe, Peterloo and Suspiria. Now, Suspiria is pretty glorious in the sense that it has utterly divided the critics here. It's by Luca Guadagnino, and of course he did Call Me By Your Name, got rave reviews for that. It's got an all-female cast, including Tilda Swinton, Dakota Johnson, Chloe Grace Moretz, and it's a remake of the Dario Argento original. It really has divided critics. Those that love it, love it. Those that hate it, hate it. Now, I think I am going to be like Switzerland. I'm going to be neutral in this case and not give my opinion. There's a lot of great things about the performance, particularly from Tilda Swinton, but it's probably too much of a cover version of the original film for me. Why make it?
And I do hear that it's not for the faint-hearted either. Well, that's all for this show. Thanks so much for joining us, Emma, and enjoy the rest of the festival. We'll leave you with a clip of that updated remake of Suspiria. Do remember to check out our website, and you can also keep up with Encore on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
One.